I have a
Chifuyu,
I have
Baji, Dual Laner,
I have a
Peh-yan,
I have
Pah-chin, Pah-chin, Dual Laner, Pah-chin, Dual Laner Pah-chin.
Hey guys, Chairman here. I really didn't think I'd become the Tokyo Revengers guy, but life has a very funny way of getting around to things. So ever since the last video of Tokyo Revengers, when I think BCS Houston, when my friend Fresh Cabbage got top 8, I've been labbing the deck a lot, just trying to improve on it, making it better, trying to find some answers to the common weaknesses of the deck. And as people have gotten to know the matchup better and have gotten to kind of getting good at playing around the deck, I've been trying to develop some techs and some ways the deck can improve. And yeah, we made some pretty big changes and improvements and went undefeated at locals this week, so I'm really excited to share the new deck with you guys. Now before we begin, I just want to give a heads out that I don't think Dual Laners, the old deck, is like an amazing deck by any means. I do think it has some pretty severe weaknesses, even though like the first time you play against it, it does feel pretty hard to win, and it's like, wow, this deck is kind of crazy because it plays so differently from other decks. But a number of people have made content talking about how to beat Tokyo Revengers. I think a really great video that I personally really like is Dean from Burn 1. He makes a great, I think it's like a 12-minute video talking about how you can successfully play around Tokyo Revengers basically in any matchup, and I 100% agree with a lot of the things that he says there. Yeah, just side lanes basically, you know, just plus, because they can't kill all 3 of your characters every turn. I also think that Tokyo Revengers, with the advent of Nino Standby, has probably the worst matchup, being the predominant meta threat. Nino Standby is just an absurdly hard matchup for the old Dual Laner deck. It's like pretty much unwinnable because you have to side everything. The memory counter is really difficult, and then Nino Standby just pushes way too much damage for a standby deck, so you just lose the pace of the game really fast. That being said, I think the new changes are just completely changed that. It's like a 180 from the old Tokyo Revengers deck. And so let's just get straight to the list. I don't want to ramble on too much in the intro section. So for the Dual Laner side, we are playing the standard Dual Laner package, which is 4 copies of Takemichi, 4 copies of level 0 Hina, 4 copies of the level 0 Mikey, and then 4 copies of 1-0 Chifuyu. This is all the Dual Laner stuff we're playing. These 16 cards. These 12 cards at level 0 are non-negotiable. You have to play them with Dual Laners because you have to hit level 1 first. The whole point of playing Dual Laners is that you hit level 1 first, you Dual Lane them. The moment you hit level 1, and they can't answer your Dual Laner, so you get basically an extra turn of Dual Lane for free, and it's very difficult to answer. Now we've cut all the other stuff, so we've cut the Bajis, and we've cut the counters because we don't care about our Chifuyu's dying, and we don't need hand in this deck. We don't need hand anymore. Yeah, so all we care about is we get the Chifuyu, double Chifuyu, we get 6 stock the first turn at level 1, we get another 6 stock the next turn because they can't kill our Chifuyu, and that's it. That's all this Dual Laner package is for. Now usually after this point, our opponent will be able to answer the Dual Laners. They either play level 1s or level 3s that get over the Dual Laners, or they play 3 characters and side, and we can't kill all 3 of their characters, and that's usually when the Dual Laner deck starts to fall off. You kind of have to rely on compression and stuff in order to kind of win back the game, or get a ton of stock and kill them from like low level 2. We don't have to do that anymore because fresh from Japan, we are playing the Peh-yan and Pachin combo in this deck. So the Brainstormers, Peh-yan, and the 2-1 vanilla Pachin. So this is what we do. So the moment our opponent presents a board that we cannot answer with Dual Laners, either we can't remove all their units, or we lose our Dual Laners, we go straight into Peh-yan Pachin. So just a brief heads up to what these cards do if you guys aren't familiar with these cards. They've been top in Japan a lot. This is like a very popular deck in Japan recently. I think, yeah, it topped a bunch of like Japanese WGP regionals. So the Peh-yan has 3 effects and the Pachin has 0. So we're just going to talk about the Peh-yan because the Peh-yan basically is what makes this Pachin good. So first effect, Peh-yan gives all these Pachins 4,000 power. That's right, 4,000 power. So 1 Peh-yan on board, Pachin is 12.5. 2 Peh-yans on board, Pachin is 16.5. 3 Peh-yans, Pah-chin's 25. That sometimes happens. All right, second effect, on play, shuffle 2 Revengers characters back from your waiting room to your deck, give a character 2k power. That's right, so you just shuffle Pah-chins back into your deck because last effect, brainstorm, pay 1, it's pay 1, so it's spammable. Mill 3, if you hit a Pah-chin, summon Pah-chin from waiting room. So yeah, you shuffle back Pah-chin and then you brainstorm, and if you hit the Pah-chin, you summon it out. So you can do this as early as level 1 because you just play the Peh-yan and you go, right? And the whole point of the dual laner in this deck is to get stock so that we can just spam the brainstormer like from wherever and just summon Pah-chin. So the way Japan plays is that they play 8 gate or 8 door, and they play a bunch of milling cards. They try to mill to very low deck at level 1, and then they use the shuffle back to summon a bunch of Pah-chin at level 1, and then just like sit on Pah-chin. The problem with that build is that like it's very dependent on the climax triggers being salvaged and like grabbing your Peh-yans and like grabbing resources to help you like mill through your first deck like super well. And you just don't have a lot of stock in that build. You just kind of have to like turbo mill with like very low stock. So they play like they play like the 3-2 TD Mikey with the 1-0 Draken just to get like free mill. I found out that like because in English we don't have universal gates or universal doors. I found out that like if you just dual lane, you get enough stock to like do this without having milled too much. You just pay stock to mill because it's basically pay 1 mill 3, right? So every stock you get with Chifuyu becomes a mill 3 with Peh-yan. So yeah, turns out that this is what you go into. And now once we go into this, we sit on 16-5 bodies in the front row, and instead of dual laners can't out their board, it's like now they can't out our board, and we just stop clocking. We maintain board every single turn, and they lose their board every single turn, and yeah, that's the name of the game. So this shell already is great. Like you could just play this, and like it doesn't matter what other card you play. Like this strategy is fantastic because your early game is the dual laners, you get a lot of stock, and then you use the stock to get deck control, deck speed, and mill, and also board, and then you're just set. You can do whatever you want at the top end. Honestly, like this shell I'm never touching ever again in my life. Like I will every Tokyo Revengers deck from now on that I play is probably gonna play these 24 cards, right? So but anyways, the top end, we are playing the Wombo combo finisher top end because I mean, what better way to finish out the game, right? So it's the same one that I played with the dual laners before, with the same climax spread of 6-2-2, right? So 6 of the split stock soul salvage, and then 2 of the pants. Yeah, I did bump the Baji up to 3. That's totally unnecessary. You probably want to cut one of these in the future, but yeah, we did play 3 for this weekend as I was testing. Yeah, so this is the exact same thing that we did with dual laners before. We have less of a ceiling now because obviously we're not hitting like 18 stock, we're hitting closer to like 10, 12 stock. So you're not really doing like too much of the Mitsuya. But the reason I still run 4, or at least the reason I did run 4 when I was testing this, is because like we stopped clocking in the mid game instead of like clocking every turn. So before with dual laners, you had to clock every turn to maintain like attackers, because you would use the back row Mitsuya to like clone your Chifuyu and then just like reset, like, but you had to clock in order to like feel that. But now with your Pah-chins, they never die, so you never clock after you get your Pah-chins out. And so because you're not clocking, you're not really sculpting for your endgame pieces. And so like a lot of the times, like at the end of the game, my hand isn't very well sculpted. It's like the Baji, because like I always make sure I salvage the Baji with the climax first things first. But then like the other cards, like I might have like 1 Mitsuya, 1 Mikey, or maybe like no Mikey, just a Mitsuya. And they're like, by running 8 finishers, it like reduces the need for me to like have to clock and look for them. I just play whatever is in my hand. It's like very flexible. Yeah, and so that's, and then there's about as many soul triggers as before. Like we lose the counters when we add the Pah-chins. Even though the Pah-chin, like 2 or 3 of the Pah-chins are on board, like it's still like enough soul triggers that we're like burning for like 1s and 2s, I think. I mean, it's still worth it. Like even if it just burns 1, it's basically like a Mikey, right? So that's pretty good. Also, like if we burn 1 on the Mitsuya, we can actually just move it to back row and attack with a Pah-chin for like a direct for 3 instead of a direct for 4, which is actually better. So if we hit on the soul trigger with Mitsuya, it's actually better than Mikey because we get to attack with Pah-chin. By the way, Pah-chin, the fact that Pah-chin gets to live and direct for 3 on the final turn of the Baji is already really good, because we're hitting good numbers, and then we don't have to play around stuff like rest counter or memory counter, which is one of the ways that the old Dual Laner deck just completely lost at level 3, because like there's no way for us to answer the board, we have to side everything. In this deck, we just don't have to side everything. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, so that's the deck. This is basically the deck, and we have 7 flex slots. So for the flex slots, I was playing 4 copies of My Treasure Baji, 2 copies of the Drop Salvage, and 1 copy of the 3/2 Bounce Back. This is so unnecessary, but it's like a pretty good like 50th card, because like again we never lose board anymore, so like you just don't really need this, but it's like kind of nice to have for like the top 3 trigger confirms, and if they have like a back row that we find annoying, we can also bounce the back row, which is fine. Yeah, but this is the deck I took to locals. I just absolutely steamrolled every single matchup. It was pretty hilarious and pretty disgusting. The final match was actually pretty good. It was against Kana Tamarin, and like, yeah, Kana Tamarin can't beat this deck. It is just impossible. Like, they lose level 1 because their Mikos don't get over our Chifuyu, and then the moment they go into Kanatas, we go into Pah-chin and they lose their Kanata board, and then they literally can't win. They have to like Marin us while we're like low level 2, and they just can't kill us from there. I think the only way they can win is if they stock swap and then like manage to like triple Marin and kill us, but they're like really low on resources because they lose their board every single turn at level 2. So we'd have to like get unlucky, like we take a lot of damage. And then the way we play around that is every turn, like once they're level 3, every turn we just mill down to like a few cards left in deck, so that if they stock swap us, they're sending all the clean cards back into waiting room, and then so on the fresh deck, it's just like a random number that they get, right? So it's like the stock swap is like really bad if they can't like guarantee hit climaxes out of the remainder of our deck, right? So like if we mill down to like 4 cards in deck, we attack 3 times, there's 1 card left in deck, and it's just random, right? Like and then like the clean cards go back in, so yeah, that's a not very good stock swap. So anyways, yeah, that's the deck. And going forward, I'm definitely gonna be testing a lot of variations of this. I don't think this list is nearly complete. I think so. Like this section is basically set in stone. We're playing these 24 cards, and then we're probably playing these 6 cards, or these 8 cards, I guess. Or you're probably playing these 8 cards minus the 3rd Baji, because you definitely don't need the 3rd Baji in my opinion. And then the rest of this is like, I think there's a lot of experimentation we can do with this side of the deck. I do think that maybe not playing Mitsuya is fine. Maybe trying some different climaxes. Definitely counters. I would run the 2/1 Lifa counter, the Draken counter. I didn't have those because they didn't arrive in the mail, so I wasn't able to play it this weekend. But yeah, if I had them, I would probably play 2 of that. That card's really good because it gives us some filter at level 2, gives us a little bit of defensive pressure. If we only get 1 Peh-yan, then Pachin's only 12-5, so we actually do need the counter to like counter over some stuff. And then also in the mirror, like the counter's good. So yeah, but hopefully this was a relatively quick video. I hope I didn't go too over the time, but I just wanted to introduce the deck that I went undefeated with, and I think this is the next evolution of dual laners. Like this is the direction dual laners is gonna go from here. With this deck, I think dual laners just like lose like majority of their bad matchups. I actually can't think of a single matchup in the current meta right now that performs favorably against this. I think it's like all pretty bad. So decks would have to like come up with new ways to like deal with Pah-chin, because there's no deck that like deals with both Pah-chin and Chifuyu, right? Like decks that do well against Chifuyu lose to Pah-chin, and decks that do well against Pah-chin just don't do well against Chifuyu. I can't think of a single deck that can like profitably or like properly answer both, right? So yeah, I hope you guys have a lot of fun trying out this deck. You know, it's definitely not cheap anymore because of the Tokyo Revengers like the hype bubble, but yeah, if you guys have it, you know, don't give up. If you've you know, if you're not having a good time playing dual laners, you know, here's another variation you guys can try out. I mean, the whole point is just to have fun with the game, right? And I think I've been having a lot of fun, you know, playing Tokyo Revengers. So yeah, be on the lookout for more content. The Tokyo Revengers think tank is back in session with this deck list. We're gonna be going places with it. All right, that's it for this time. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.